guys, it's Dave Ward, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit more in depth about what I do as a Team Beachbody coach. So yesterday I filmed this video series where I answered the 5 or 6 most common questions that I've been getting about coaching, and then I encouraged people to email me or comment on the video and let me know what other questions they have, and I got a few of those comments. So I'm going to film a couple more videos today and hopefully kind of keep that going and get all of your questions hopefully answered here. I'll put all this information on our blog as well. So that's my invitation to you to either post a comment below or wherever you're watching this, or shoot me an email. My email address is info@thefitclubnetwork, and let's see if I can answer your question about being a Team Beachbody coach. Okay, so yesterday the questions I answered were, what is a Beachbody coach? What does a Beachbody coach do? What does it cost to become a Beachbody coach? Can you make money as a Beachbody coach? How do Beachbody coaches make money? And should you become a Team Beachbody coach? The questions that I got were actually focused on a question that I answered, but it was a request to go a little bit more in depth. So the second question there was, what does a Beachbody coach do? So I want to kind of dive into that. Yesterday I talked about how I help customers with their health and fitness issues, and then I help coaches build their business. But I want to dive into that specific subject just a little bit more depth, because I'm getting some questions about whether or not I can be more specific, and I absolutely can. So let's talk about it. First of all, let's sort of do this division, which I think is kind of interesting or important, about what I do with customers and then what I do with the coaches who join our team. Let's start with the customers, okay? What I really do is very, very simple. I form what we call challenge groups. So a challenge group is really, really simple. It's just a group of people who are all going to commit to a certain fitness program. We're all going to start on the same day, and we're all going to commit to a couple of key things. The biggest one is starting what you finish. And that is one of my biggest goals or duties as a Team Beachbody coach. Sometimes it's as simple as, hey, what does a Team Beachbody coach do? Well, a Beachbody coach helps people get to the finish line. That's one of the biggest things we do. I don't know about you, but over and over and over in my life, I have started and not finished fitness programs. Okay? And that's just kind of part of the deal, right? And so my job as your coach is to help you stay in the game and stay accountable. I found that one of the biggest things people struggle with is nutrition. So we spend a lot of time focused on nutrition. Now, I said in the previous video that I'm not a certified nutritionist or registered dietitian or anything like that. I'm just a guy who has been at this health and fitness game for over 10 years now. So I've learned the things that work for me. I've learned that the things that work for me may not work for you, okay? But I've also learned how to interpret nutrition information that's given to you from Beachbody. And that's really what I focus on, is trying to just help you understand the nutrition guide for whatever program it is you're doing. Now, why nutrition? Well, first of all, I think that it's something that people don't generally understand. I know I didn't understand. I remember health when I was in high school or whatever, and it was like, how to deal with puberty. They didn't teach me how carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, how your body synthesizes those different macronutrients, and what happens if you take too many of any one of those, okay? I've learned that stuff just by going through these fitness programs and doing all the different fitness programs and reading the nutrition guides and doing some other research, and nothing that's super complicated. If you're thinking about becoming a coach and you dove into the nutrition guide for whatever your program is, you're well equipped to handle all of the questions that I handle. Simple thing. People don't know that stuff. That's it. It's just that simple. The other reason nutrition I think is really important is because it's the #1 way to get really fast results. Okay, 75%, maybe more, of this equation of getting healthy and fit is about what you stuff in your face. So I know that if I can get you to change that, then you're going to get results with whatever fitness program you're doing. I don't care. It doesn't matter if it's P90X or Insanity or TurboFire or Body Beast. If you eat right and eat for your goals with that program, you're going to get results. So that's why we focus on nutrition. So that's a lot of what a Beachbody coach does on the customer side of things, okay? It's just about getting people into these challenge groups, getting them organized together. I'll also say, I personally have usually 3 to 5 challenge groups going on at any one time. I'm not doing 3 to 5 different workout programs. I'm usually doing one of the programs with the people in that group. The other groups I'm supporting, Okay, and that's all I'm really doing. I'm making sure that I check in with those people every day. I make sure that they know that I'm available to them if they need to talk to me, whether that's on the phone or email or whatever. Okay, so that is really what I focus on the customer side of my interactions about what a Beachbody coach does. Okay, so now we can flip over to the coach side. What does a Beachbody coach do when you're dealing with other coaches? Okay, in the last video, I talked about what I believe is sort of the motto or the mission statement, I guess, for our organization, which is the Fit Club Network, which is learn, practice, succeed, teach. I'm actually going to have it like painted up here. This is why I moved the surfboard down, if you've noticed that. Learn, practice, succeed, teach. Why? Learn, practice, succeed, teach is the evolution of any successful learning process, right? You've got to learn new skills. Then you've got to get out and practice those skills. And that practice part is the edit, right? Or the tweak. Like, okay, that doesn't work, maybe this will. Oh, that works, this doesn't. That's what people do in order to learn new skills, is you've got to practice. If you just think about it in the fitness context, I just got an email from one of my customers who's been doing P90X, and he was really struggling with push-ups until he just kept doing push-ups. And then all of a sudden he was like, you know, I'm getting a lot better at this push-up game. Right, why? Practice, okay? The next thing is success. If you learn new skills and you practice those new skills, and you're not practicing bad things, right? If the new skill you learn is how to eat pizza and drink beer, the practice of that skill is not going to lead you to success, unless success is, you know, being overweight or unhealthy. But if the new skills you've learned are skills like how to communicate with people, how to understand the major personality types that you're dealing with when you're dealing with people in your everyday life, how to use social media, how to start a blog, how to make a list, how to work from a list, how to personal development, reading books, listening to audio. I was just listening to John Acuff's book Start, which got me all fired up to come down here and film some video, and a whole laundry list of other things, which are what I teach. If those are the things you're practicing, you're going to have some success, okay? So what's my job? What does a Beachbody coach do when you're dealing with your coaches? I make sure that practice is really well focused. That's where we focus. Learning for sure, right? You got to learn the new skills, but it's practice is where the rubber meets the road, right? That's, you know, Michael Jordan knew how to shoot a free throw, but he practiced shooting free throws. Why? So that he could succeed shooting free throws, or, you know, whatever the skill is we're talking about. So practice is really where we focus, right? Teaching the new skills is very, very simple. Our business is a very, very simple business. For those of you who haven't watched my other videos, I practiced law for 10 years before I started to become a coach. That was a complicated business. Every now and then I deal with tax accountants. You know, it's almost tax time, and I have a tax accountant, and I go, wow, that's complicated. Wow, I'm so glad I'm in a simple, simple business. There's just not that much to learn. How to form a challenge group. That's it, okay? Then the practicing of that. That's where I come in. That's where I work one-on-one with people, talking to them, okay, well, what did you say? And what did they say? And how did it go? And what happened here? And we kind of fine-tune things and tweak. And if things work, we keep doing them. If things don't work, we don't keep doing them. Okay? Success. Success is the fun part. Okay? It's not the finish line. It's the fun part. Okay? Once people learn new skills and they practice those skills and they start to have success with them, and they start making Success Club, which is kind of our monthly, incentive program. It's fun. This is when this business gets really, really fun, because people start to just jam and they just take off, right? And they just figure it out. They're like, wow, there wasn't that much to learn. I needed to practice a lot, but once I got it, I got it. It's just about the simple skill of inviting people to challenge groups. Really, really simple, right? Now, there's more complicated things in our business for sure, like how to build a downline, right? That's not an easy thing. That's the other area where we come in. That's a new skill you got to learn. Then you practice, but you don't practice on your own. I don't just let you, throw people into your organization and, well, wherever, we'll just sort of, throw them in there and throw them in here. No, we build strategically. We build smart. We make sure that you're building towards smart goals, like earning a bigger paycheck by increasing the volume in your organization and advancing your business center in rank. Okay? Those are the things we focus on. We learn new skills. We practice those skills. Then we have some success. I haven't talked about the last one yet because we're not there yet. Teaching. That's the last element of that bit, right? And so what happens is, as you go through your evolution as a Team Beachbody coach, you learn new skills, you practice those skills. Once you have some success with those skills, then you can teach. Here's the problem. And here's the reality about our society, and here's the mindset that is corrupting us as a group of human beings on this planet. People want to go from learn to teach. That's it. They want to go from 0 to 60. And they don't want to do it in 20 seconds. They want to be in that new McLaren P1 that does it in under 3 seconds. That's not how life works. I will not teach you how to go from learn to teach. I will not expect you to learn something new and then try and teach to somebody the next day. Because it's not real. It's not realistic. It doesn't work that way. Let's put it this way. If I was going to learn Japanese, okay? I don't know any Japanese. I should preface that, by the way. I speak one language and it's English. If I was going to go teach Japanese to somebody, I would first have to learn Japanese. Then I would have to practice my Japanese for a really, really long time. Then I would have to have some success with Japanese, right? I would probably have to get a degree. Somebody's going to say, hey, if you're going to teach our students, we need some sort of a certification. That would be my success. Then I'd be ready to teach. That might take me 10 years. I don't know. The good news in our business is not Japanese. It's nowhere near as complicated as Japanese. It's really, really simple. So learn. It's not the same learning curve as learning Japanese or how to practice law or how to be a doctor or a tax accountant or any of those things. Learn's really pretty simple. Practice is that's where it's really at. And that's what I help people focus on, is practicing these key skills of how to be a really successful coach. And then we get to success, and again, success is the fun bit. This is where it's just such a blast, and I get to work with people and watch them be successful, watch them earn, some of them are earning an extra income on the side. Some of them, success means doing what we do full time, like my wife Monica and I do. Some of them success is earning a couple $100 a week to pay for a car payment or cover, another payment, or do what I did for the first year and a half that I was in this business, which is that when I was earning those paychecks, I took them all because I didn't need them, because I was still practicing law, and I put them in a college fund for my kids. And at the end of that year and a half period, I looked back and went, oh, look at that. For the first time ever, after about, at that point, I guess 7.5, 8 years of practicing law, for the first time ever, I had put money in my children's college savings account. You can't put a price tag on that. Okay, yeah, you can put a price tag on the bank account. What you can't do, you just can't quantify the amount of pride that that's going to give you and then translate that into a number. That's what I teach people how to do. That's what I do as a Beachbody coach. If you have more questions about this, please feel free to email me. Please, please, please leave a comment or shoot me an email. Let me know what other questions you have. I'm more than happy to film these questions. What I know about this is that if you have a question, somebody else has a question. If I can answer your question with a video, then you're probably answering somebody else's question too, which is cool, and that helps us help everybody. All right, guys. Sorry this video has gotten a little long, but I had a lot of ground to cover. Hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to hearing from you. Have yourself a fantastic day.